hands, and I'm honored to pray a blessing over this meal and over this evening and over this time together right now. So if I could ask that you all bow your heads as we pray. Heavenly Father, I have to first acknowledge what our fire family has been through in just the last few weeks. In the fact that we have responded to one of the biggest tragedies that Los Angeles has ever seen. And I'm so thankful for the hearts of the servants of all the men and women that have been out there taking care of the public. And I'm so thankful for the hearts of the servants that take care of those who are taking care of others. And one of those servants who we are here celebrating today. And in this time, we just want to acknowledge those that are out there that are hurting and those that are willing to step into their lives to try to do whatever they can to make their lives better. So we come to you today with a thankful heart and a joyful heart, because today is a day that we get to celebrate one of your servants, Father. And we just pray a blessing over this time together, over the meal, over the fellowship. And we invite you into all of it. We're so thankful that you blessed us, and that you blessed us with a career of a person who has shown the heart of what you represent. So today I just lift up every family that's here, and every person who is here to celebrate Scott and who loves him, and I pray a blessing over them in this time. And we pray this in the name of our Lord Jesus. Amen. Amen. Thank you all.
What do you think, Sharon?
I think everything is wonderful.
Since 1996, when I was a young auxiliary firefighter for the Inglewood Fire Department. And where are all my Inglewood folks at that are here today? I know I saw a few of you downstairs. With that being said, there are a lot of you in here that are mentors to me in so many ways. And I wish I could acknowledge each and every one of you, because in different aspects of my life, in different parts of my own life, it's meant a tremendous amount to me as a person. And everyone that I have been able to touch in my own role and help in any way is a tribute to what you've poured into me. And here today we're celebrating Scott, who is one of those mentors. From the time I was a young firefighter until I came into the county, when I stepped into the chaplain program with Paul Rustin over there, and I wanted to reach out and start helping our members, and then I got peer support trained while I was doing that. At which time, Scott took me under his wing as well. And I had two great mentors to help me go on this path and teach me everything that went about doing this type of work within the work that we were already doing. And I'm so thankful for that. When I started to step out on my own and do things and carry heavier burdens, they never left my side, and Scott never left my side. And I could think about the families that we've been called to assist and the members we've been called to assist. And one of the things you're going to hear a lot about peer support tonight for those of you who are outside of the fire service. And what peer support is, it's us helping our own, because firefighting can be very traumatic. It is a tremendous calling within a calling. And our program that we have within the fire department, within LA County Fire Department specifically, I know Scott stepped into it very much into the incipient stage of it and is instrumental in building the program to what it is today. And not only was he in there building the program, but he was engaged with so many people, and some of you are probably here, that needed the help on a one-on-one level at the same time. So the impact that he has had on our fire department family is tremendous. And could we all just give Scott a big round of applause for that? Now, with that being said, none of us could do this work without all of you, our family, the community that supports us, our wives, our children, our parents. And I want to acknowledge the fact that Scott has his mom, Sue Ross, here with him tonight. And also his children, he's got Brandon and Sarah here. Both, all of you don't know, they both are within the family of first responders themselves, which is incredible. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you two of Scott's biggest supporters, two people that have been shaped by him as a person and put a lot into this evening for him. I would like to welcome Brandon and Sarah up.
Can everyone hear me? Yes. Sorry, my voice is a little jacked up from work the last 2 weeks, but thank you everyone for showing up for my dad tonight to celebrate his career. I don't even know where to start. There's so much to say in so little time for this man. Started off in Inglewood, 8 years. I think he was only a month and a half on when the belly riots broke out. Right. So, baptized by fire. That's where it started off. But then he made his way over to the county. Just in his 32 years of service, he's probably touched thousands of lives, I know this from calls, but his biggest calling was peer support. I know he's helped hundreds and hundreds of families, firemen, keep their jobs, keep their families together, save marriages, and also go through a lot of tragedies. He's been on the IFF team for a long time. He's not only been with just the LA County side of things, but he's gone all over the nation to help different departments build programs, go through tragedies, and assist those in need. And I couldn't be any more proud of my dad. It's kind of hard coming into the county after my dad because he's so well known. I can't really go on any of his station without going, "You look familiar, you look like someone we know." So it's hard falling around in those footsteps, and I'll never be able to fill those shoes in that role ever. But he's leaving a lasting legacy with all the department himself. So I'm trying to keep it short. My voice is pretty jacked. I'm pretty weak right now, but me and my sister, we wanted to present this plaque to my dad that we had made for him. Just a little something about his Inglewood time. It'll be up here on display for everyone to see after the fact. Well, with it closing, I just want to say, you made it to the promised land of retirement. Hope you stay healthy and we can keep around for another 30 years at least, for grandkids and whatnot. So. Anyways, wherever you go, we're very proud of you. I know everyone here is proud of you and extremely thankful for what you've done for everyone.
Not just all the families you reach out to, but even your own. Like, what a tremendous honor to see how you touched them as well. So, that was beautiful, both of you. Amazing. Our next speaker, who's going to come up, is a former Inglewood firefighter, retired from Los Angeles County Fire Department, who has a special presentation, State Senator Callie Sayardo. Callie.
All right, Scott, you gotta come up. He's heard that before. So I have had the pleasure of working with Scott since when he came on the fire department. I was there, and I'm glad to be able to be here tonight when he takes off and starts focusing more on the things that he has that passion for. And I'm sure I'm going to see more of him up in Sacramento as we try to address this plague that is the mental health crisis in our firefighting ranks. So, you know, when Scott came on, we had a great softball team. And we used to play in the Olympics all the time. Gold medal. I was going to throw that in, dang it. Come on, stop stealing my stuff. Little Sarah, and yes, little Brandon at the time. He was little. He was tiny guy. Yeah. And, you know, Scott played third base. He was a little bigger than he was now. And so they couldn't hit the ball past him. And so we wound up winning gold medals together, and it was awesome. But you know, Scott's real passion was making other people feel good. And one of the things that he took up in Inglewood was the Santa sleigh. The Santa sleigh is something that, you know, some of those kids, this is what they're going to remember their entire life, because that's all they had. Scott put so much effort into making that thing happen. And it was, I mean, Scott would be there early, Scott would be there late, getting the welders to weld this thing together, and then making sure we coordinated, you know, who's going out, whether it was politicians that wanted to be noticed, or people on the captain's list that wanted to be promoted. A lot of people wanted to ride the float. And we went around, and I was fortunate enough to be on a couple of those and see the sheer joy that kids had. And it was all because of Scott's efforts. It wouldn't have been done. Honest to God, it wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been for Scott. So then, you know, we went off to the county, and in 2009, I think, I became battalion chief, and they sent me back to Inglewood. I say that like it's a bad thing, but it wasn't. It was awesome. Scott had a crew of Scots, not Scotland Scots, but they were all named Scott. And so it was the easiest station where you walk into it. It's like, hey, Scott, Frank's here somewhere. Non-Scott. But Scott ran a really tight crew over there. They were guys who didn't leave because they had so much respect and had so much fun working with Scott. And so that was one of the bright spots in our battalion was 173s, where Scott was a captain, and it made my job really, really easy. But in the meanwhile, Scott got started into this pure support stuff. And we have now realized how important that is. And, you know, that's something, even in the legislature, we have realized that we need to put more money into. And so I'm going to be relying on Mr. Ross here to use some of that spare time that you find when you become retired and pick up a new hobby, kind of like I did. But I'd really like you to, maybe you should run for senator in your district. I'd love to bring you aboard. But anyway, to tackle some of these problems going forward, because you don't have to be active duty to work on this. And I don't think there's anybody in the U.S. maybe that knows more about this stuff than Scott. But more than that, there's nobody that cares more about this stuff than Scott. So with that, I wanted to present you with, where did I put it? Oh, here I put it, up here. We have a little Senate resolution from the Senate recognizing Scott for, and it lists a lot of the stuff that I just talked about. I guess it encapsulates all of Scott in about 6 paragraphs. And you know, congratulations on an awesome career. It's been my honor to work with you, and I look forward to, you know, hopefully collaborating on making some other good things happen, using the knowledge, because the Senate doesn't do this a lot. Use the knowledge of people who actually know what they're talking about, and Scott's one of those people. So congratulations, Scott, and it's been an awesome run.
So, it's kind of cool because all the speakers that are going to come up are going to give you a different facet of like how Scott interacts with so many people. And right now we're going to ask the director from First Responder Recovery Malibu, Care, to come up and share some words. Care is one of those people who has a tremendous heart for helping firefighters and first responders in general. And she is definitely a person that I know that is in the fight to save not just firefighters' lives, but their families and their jobs. And I know her and Scott have built a tremendous friendship over the years. So, Kara, would you grace us with your presence here at the mic? Fittingly named Kara.
Oh wow, guys. A little taken off guard, didn't count on this. I met Scott Ross about 8 years ago. I was the mayor of a little bitty town up above Santa Clarita, and I retired as mayor, and I met a young man who wanted to open a center for first responders treatment. And I told him I'd give him 90 days, and then I was going home to Nashville. And that 90 days is now turned into 8 years treating first responders and addiction and PTSD. So I fell in love with you guys and treating you. But I met Scott because everybody said, if you're gonna open a treatment center, now remember this was in 2017 when treatment centers were not available. But I met him because everybody said, you need to know Scott Ross if you're gonna do this. So I called, and I called, and I called, and he never answered. And then one day, he knew exactly who I was too, I knew that. One day he called me, he said, I'm in Lancaster. I'll be up in 30 minutes. You wanna show me what you have? I'll look at it. Wow, no prep, no nothing, he's the real deal. And from the minute I met him, he was extraordinary. He and many of you in this room have mentored me in the way first responder treatment needs to be done. I got into classes with firefighters that I should not have been in. I'm a civilian, but I learned. I got to be a 9/11 dispatcher for a 12-hour shift. Hats off to you guys. Not my career choice. What you guys do is phenomenal. But Scott took me under his wing and he taught me. And sometimes he was hard on me. And he never let me slack or take a break from being the best. Because he told me many years ago, you are treating the best, you need to be the best. You need to know our culture, you need to know what we go through on a daily basis. So I sought out, and I'm happy to say in 2022, I became an International Association of Firefighters peer support as a civilian. And it's because of Scott Ross. And, I just have to mention Dr. Steve too. You have been with me through the whole thing. But this man, we have seen some difficult cases, and we have gone through a lot together. But he has showed me what resilience is. He has showed me what it means to take care of one of his firefighters. And I will never forget what he's done. I would not be where I am today if it was not for you, Scott Ross. And people make fun of me because to this day I call him Captain Ross. And they go, but you've known him so long. I said, guys, it's a term of respect. Captain Ross has showed me a lot about the firefighting world, and I don't know how I'm going to do without you, Scott. It's been 8 years, and you've always been there to call. So I know you're not retiring, but I am wearing black because I'm mourning. I just went through the Malibu Palisades fire without you, the first one. So God bless you. God bless your sweet family, and enjoy your retirement. And thank you, sir, again, for helping me to do what I do for first responders.
That wasn't prepared, Karen? That was amazing. That was amazing. Yes. You know, just so you know, Kara, that right after the Palisades fire happened and Scott called me up for me to take him up there to that area, the first place he wanted to go was to check on your center and check on you. So I know that that same respect that you have for him, I know that he has that same respect for you. And we went there and no one was there because you guys all had evacuated, you know, promptly, and we were happy to see that everybody was safe. So that was beautiful. And you know what, I think you really captured the heart of the individual stories that are all in this room, you know, from each and every person that could literally get up here and share their experience. And so thank you for doing that so eloquently. Very nice. Our next speaker is a battalion chief from Truckee Meadows Fire Department and the president and founder of the Nevada State Peer Support Network. And I would like to welcome Battalion Chief Derek Reed up to share his remarks.
Good evening. My name is Derek Reed. I don't know any of you. I think I have 2 people on this room. But this is good because this is your home, Scott, and this is where the pebble drops into that one. And I want everybody to know here that the ripple effect that he has created throughout the nation and in my backyard, it literally life-changing in the way that we do business. He began attempting to change the culture here, and now it's happening in other places. In 2019, we lost, God, it never gets easier, one of our firefighters to suicide. And Scott Ross came with his team to teach a peer support class that very same year. Later in the year, we got our team together, we had a phone number list, we posted on a bulletin board in all the stations, and literally a week later we lost Tyler. For 3 days, because he was in ICU, we didn't know what to do. We were completely overwhelmed. We would wake up in the morning and just burn a candle at both ends and in the middle until we crashed at night. 3 days went by, and then the NICE district president said, well, you can contact the IFF and they'll send a peer team. We didn't even know that was a thing. So we said yes, and then they dropped Scott Ross, and because I knew what kind of man he was when he taught the class, I was like, yes, that's who we want. Ripple effect. This guy came out right away, did an assessment, came back a week later, brought a team, and then came back a year later to do a follow-up. Now, it wasn't just with my department. My area has probably 8 different departments that technically should be consolidated. But our firefighter worked at like 3 of those, and everybody knew him. He was a phenomenal man, and his dad was a Reno captain that I worked with at Reno. So that alone was absolutely, it changed everything. It changed our culture. We normalized stuff. We talked about stuff. And I really, truly believe, because when peer support teams or chaplain groups started infiltrating the first response, they would say things like, well, that's a hug club. You need to hold your hand or something. And he is the epitome of, no, that's not what we're gonna do. This is a warrior culture. And it's not about giving hugs. Actually, if it was about giving hugs, it would be a hell of a lot easier to deal with some of our folks. And he was kind of the epicenter of that. Ripple effect. It's still happening. The things that we've done in a very short period of time in Reno, people from California is reaching out. We did a peer support network where we vetted clinicians. We have a resiliency center. We do AA meetings for first responders only, and we encompass all first responders and military. But again, this idea, this normalization, this change of culture came from Scott Ross, and those ripple effects are, therapists are telling me, I can't tell you, but you guys are saving lives. So they apparently had an encounter with first responders that changed the culture. It makes it okay. It normalizes conversations, and I've also been honored and privileged to go out on deployments with you, and some devastating ones. But we know that we deal with tragedy differently, first responders, when we're in the stations. I mean, gallows humor kicks in, and it's our way of releasing tension and that kind of stuff. And I've had such a good time with Scott and the group that we had, and helping people. That is your calling, that is your vocation. I don't know what you do for LA County Fire other than you're a captain, but I would say your most meaningful work that has rippled across the nation is what you do with peer support. And I thank you for inviting me. I'm honored to be here, and I'm excited to celebrate your retirement. And I don't know, maybe this is where your true purpose kicks into overdrive. I don't know. And I don't know, this is your son? When did you stop going to the gym? You guys did a DNA test, right? Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. And you guys got a phenomenal guy that has done more work than you can even imagine. So, thank you very much.
I love that jab at the end. That's what I was talking about, Senator. Was that jab. When he talks about laying the foundations for peer support, when, it went through what people thought was the Hug Club, and now how necessary it is. I had the honor of being part of a team that was assigned to the Eaton Fire as part of the peer support division for the last 2 weeks. And we had a clinician, we had chaplains, we had peers, we had canines that were there not just in camp, but they were out in the field meeting with the USAR teams and the strike teams that were out there. And it was amazing. And one of the most remarkable comments that I got was someone had told us, they said, I've been part of the fire service for 30 years, and I've never had a camp with something so devastating that had this type of a feel to it because of that team. And that was something you fought so hard for so many years. And you talk about those ripple effects, and it is making a difference for our folks. I know that the ones that we've lost are near and dear to you, and I know you wear them. But like I said before, you'll never be able to quantify all the ones that were saved. And that is amazing. Speaking of saving people within our department, I now have the honor of inviting up here to share some remarks. I know who's been a dear friend of Scott for over 20 years, and who does some amazing work with first responders, and in many ways is changing the landscape of the clinician field in being what we like to say is culturally competent for people so when a first responder goes and sees a clinician, they already have an understanding of where we come from. And this is someone who I tremendously respect, who does some amazing work for our department. We are blessed to have him as our Director of Behavioral Health through Local 1014 for Los Angeles County Firefighters. I'd like to welcome Dr. Stephen Froelich up here.
Thank you, Vince. I'm going to try not to cry. I wrote this stuff down. I don't usually do that. We often hear the phrase, leave it better than the way you found it. Scott, there is no question that you are leaving the Los Angeles County Fire Department so much better than the way you found it at the beginning of your long and productive career. You've not just saved lives as a firefighter, a paramedic, and a captain over the course of your 32 years on the job, but you've also saved lives and helped families in your role as peer support team member, peer support coordinator, and as an IAFF peer support instructor. Amazing. When I first began working with our peer support team some 25 years ago, our team had about 30 CISM trained peers. As a result of your leadership, your passion and commitment, we now have a robust peer support program that is recognized not just in California, but across the nation. Our team today has grown to approximately 250 well-trained peers, many cross-trained both in CISM and IAFF peer support models. The names Scott Ross and peer support have become synonymous. I can still remember the first incident where you and I were paired up. Peer support, mental health, going out to the fire station to respond after a critical incident. I didn't know yet, but apparently you decided I was going to need a little bit of guidance if I was going to be able to be effective in the fire service. I know this because when we finished, or at least I thought we had finished, you and I walked outside, you asked me in that Scott Ross kind of way, so, how do you think that went? Well, I was excited to be able to respond, oh, it went great. And you looked at me, kind of smiled, and got that little glimmer in your eye, and you said, well, you know, I think I'm going to go back in there, and you and I'll talk later. And I think as you turned and walked in, I think I looked a little bit like one of my German shepherds, head kind of just turning from side to side, going, was that a good thing or a bad thing? What was that? So, yeah. I didn't know it at the time, but apparently you had decided that there were a few things that I would need to learn in order to be effective in the fire service. And I think you all are hearing when it comes to Scott, all that matters is that our people, our firefighters, our fire family get the best, you know. And he had a high bar. He has a high bar, and I'm grateful for that. He took me under his wing, and he helped me understand what right looks like in the fire service. I cannot thank you enough for becoming my mentor and ultimately my brother. See, the mental health professional culture is different than the fire culture. You know, mental health professionals tend to work in an isolated environment, one-on-one in a comfortable office in the community. And we listen, you know, and we're pretty good at that as a group. You know, we all have our own ways, but firefighting, you depend on each other for your lives. And it creates a bond that you cannot have unless you're doing an activity like that. And when you hear of the fire family, you hear, you know, the terms brother and sister, it means something very, very important in this culture. And Scott, you know, thank you for helping me to begin to get some understanding of what that is. The problem with that is you don't know what you don't know. You know? And I doubt that any mental health professionals ever go into a situation wanting to make something worse than the way they found it. But that's what can happen. There can be some pretty negative consequences for what you don't know. So thank you so much, Scott, for bringing me along, and so many other mental health professionals. You know, I always wanted to think, oh, I'm the only one, you know, but there were a lot of us that you were bringing along. So thank you for that. And since that first time we went out, we've had the opportunity to work on so many incidents and issues, both locally and across the country, for our department as well as other departments. Man, it's been quite a ride. Scott, it has been an honor to work alongside of you, and I cannot thank you enough for all that you have done for the countless firefighters and their families across this amazing country. Last, I want to say thank you, Brennan. Thank you, Sarah. You've made a lot of sacrifices that have allowed your dad to do some of the amazing things that he's done, and you know, we recognize that, and we thank you for it. And one of the things that I've learned about you guys through Scott, because he talks about you a lot, is the two of you are the center of his life. And when he talks about you guys, he invites up in that sense of being a proud dad of two amazing kids is what shines through. So thank you both for lending your dad to us as often as you have. So everyone, if it's all right, just lift a glass. And in honor to Scott Ross, congratulations, brother, on your retirement. Cheers. And for me, Scott, I love you, brother.
Thanks, Scott. Beautiful. Sarah, Brennan, your dad loves you, and that's coming from a professional. Case closed, gavel's hit. Now you know it. Now you know it. Okay, so we're gonna have another speaker before we have a little video presentation. And I know this one's very near and dear to Scott as well. I mean, they all are. I mean, if there's one thing that we've universally seen right now is this. This person is a fire chief who is also a peer support master instructor for the IAFF. And if that doesn't speak volumes to what a culture change is in the fire service, I don't know what does. I know more importantly than the fact of how impactful this person is as well in the peer support community, more importantly, he is someone that Scott considers a brother and a dear friend. And I'd like to welcome the fire chief from the Oxnard Fire Department, Alex Hamilton, to come up and share some remarks.
Vince, thank you for that introduction. Thank you for those kind words. So I'll preface this by saying that I had planned to write something and I didn't. So you're just going to have to hang on and see where this goes. But it is an incredible honour and privilege to be able to stand up here and speak at Scott's retirement. We've been in the trenches together for probably 15 years now, and so many of the speakers before me have sort of said similar things, and so I'll try not to repeat it, but there's a couple of, from my perspective as a chief, from my perspective of traveling the state and the country, I know very well that 32 years in the fire service, no one's getting out without a few scars, whether they're mental or physical. And so anyone that does a 32-year career in the fire service has made an incredible accomplishment, because that is a long, long career in a job that takes a toll. Scott did that plus, and so arguably he has saved hundreds of lives in his work in peer support, not in his job as a firefighter. And so when we first met, and I was sort of like a wacky sidekick, and just wanted to suck as much information as I could out of Scott's brain. And I think it speaks volumes. Something that Dr. Steve just said is that Scott's, like a lot of us in the fire service, we're just sort of knuckle dragging firefighters, right? We break rocks, and we're not all that bright most of the time. Scott's a guy that's teaching folks that have gone to school to get letters behind their name, and he's teaching those folks, whether it's MFT or PsyD or LCSW, whatever those letters are. Scott teaches those folks stuff they didn't know before in whatever they went through. And I think that says a lot about who Scott is and what he's done. And so I started as sort of rookie in peer support when I first met Scott, and he just sort of dragged me along. And so I knew I'd made it in Scott's eyes, where I was like, I was okay with Scott. I built his trust. So we were at a deployment out in El Paso, and he was doling out station assignments. He had his big whiteboard with the whole big plan and everyone's contact information. Don't touch his whiteboard. And he comes to me, I'm looking, and I'm like, where am I going? And he comes over and he's like, hey man, I got a bit of a tough assignment for you. Hey, what's that? He's like, well, the medical examiner falls under the fire department in El Paso. So I need you to go give peer support to the medical examiner's office. I'm like, Scott, I'm not a medical examiner. How am I going to give peer support? He's like, that's not the tough bit. I also partnered you with Dave Gelati, and you've got to keep him out of trouble while you're also giving peer support to the medical examiner's office. So at that point I knew that I had earned Scott's trust and respect, that he tasked me with keeping Dave out of trouble, but also that I had learned very quickly about what the medical examiner's office does and how they work, and we actually did a lot of good work with them, along with the rest of the fire department after that, after the event they had gone through. So I just wanted to pass on that little story. And then I think what I'd like to close with, I was going to make a toast, and Dr. Steve kind of stole my thunder a little bit. So before I make that toast, I think what I'd like to say is that the fire service across this nation is better than it had Scott Ross in it. And I can say that as somebody that travels this nation and visits a lot of fire departments. Scott has left an incredible mark on this nation's fire service. And so for me personally, I'll tell you that he's made me a better firefighter, a better peer, a better husband, a better father. And so what I would say is to raise a glass, and I'll speak for all of you now in saying that we're all better for having Scott Ross in our lives. Happy retirement.
You're here.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. So I would love to introduce our Local 1014 President, Fire Captain from Engine 9, Battalion 13, Dave July, to come up here and share some more.
I really can't repeat what I'm supposed to speak. Like Brennan, I could use an albuterol right now after this past couple of weeks. And like Dr. Steve, I normally don't write anything down. But for some reason, I woke up at 4:30 this morning. Just couldn't sleep. I never do anything. The day I'm going to speak, I wait and I go do it. And I couldn't sleep, Scott. And I just started thinking about the last 25 years, a quarter of a decade that we've had, and all that we've done. And it was pretty amazing journey this morning. I'd like to share a little bit with you now. Scott, get this, Howard Ross. So, just a quickie. First time I worked with him, I had to go get a hold of him, so I go to look in our alpha roster before we had fire sync, and I'm going through there. Where the hell is Scott Ross? Scott. Somebody looked at me finally and goes, oh, I think it's in the H's. And I look down there and it's Howard Scott Ross. And I called him and he goes, your name Howard? And he's like, he didn't say a word, he didn't say anything, he just looked at me and I go, got it, Scott. In case you didn't know that. They asked me what I could do as a union president. We have a lot of power. The power of this whole room, chiefs and union members together, LA County Local 1014, one of the strongest unions in the world. And I said, what could you do for Scott Ross in his final year as he's retiring? And I go, a lot of things. Retirement stuff, spike his year, add some bonuses, what do you need? And they thought about it for a while. And so I called in a little favor and, by a score of 41-21, the Ohio farmers on the first day of the year took out those Oregon pot farmers and made Scott's life complete. You're welcome. You're welcome. It all goes through Vegas. It all goes through the unions. Your team did have to show up and play a little bit. This is something you've waited for a long time. Scott's a big Ohio fan.
Yeah.
You've heard my name is Dave Gelati. I'm a fire captain, proudly 31 years on the LA County Fire Department. I should be retired, I guess. 36 and a half years in the fire service. I work for Lakeside. Scott, another small department, 4 stations actually, just like you, before I came here. And I'm on engine 9. It's a really, really busy engine. It's at, and Brennan will agree, the best fire station in the county, because when Brennan got out of the tower and I lived his journey to become an LA County firefighter, I don't know how it happened, but they put him at my station. And a true fact, when Scott was getting ready to hang up his turnout coat, we're busy, man. Shootings, stabbings, fires. We've had an incredibly busy start to this year. Brennan got more fires in 6 months than some people get in 30 years. And so the guys put his coat on the engine and said that when we go up to hang Scott's coat, Brennan's just gonna hang his coat up too, because he's done, man. So, kind of fun. Wow. I also wear a couple other hats, and they're important. I'm the president of our union, very proudly, I think the strongest fire union in the nation. I'm certainly in the state and arguably within the nation, depending on what we're working on. We're very well respected, and it's because of who our people are, plain and simple. But I also am a state district vice president, the longest serving of the California Professional Firefighters, and I serve on all kinds of committees for the IFF, International Association of Firefighters. I serve as a vice president of the LA Federation of Labor. That's where all the union workers live. Longshoremen, engineers and architects, police officers and sheriffs, and by the way, they've had a little bit of a hard time, and we always stand behind them. When we see them on calls, we said, you still have one fan in the house, it's the people on the road, fire engines and trucks, and then we hand them an application. And usually a box of donuts. I also represent the county coalition of unions, where we bargain for all of our benefits, and believe it or not, there are other unions that have gone through tragedies, And we've bridged the gap by putting Scott Ross and his team in contact with people that deal with social services and child protective services, things like that you wouldn't think about. And our fire department peer support union has helped other unions in the county. Scott Ross's name transcends all of the labor unions. And I also serve, where's Kristen? Is Kristen Thompson still here? She probably had to head out. She's a chief in EMS from Newport Beach, and I know she takes meds because of this, but she serves as a co-chair with me, and I know why they picked me, because Cuckoo had to be identified for peer support, and so I'm the co-chair of the California Fire Service Task Force on Behavioral Health for a couple of decades now. And we coined a couple of phrases: pure as folk, pure as F, as Scott, and cuckoo is the new cool. That became our motto when we were breaking stigma. It's important you know that because Scott Ross demands the respect of so many organizations in this state and this nation. And when you say his name, they know who he is. And I represent all of them as I speak to you today. On behalf of my 1014 Executive Board and the board of the Association of Firefighters and California Professional Firefighters, we want to congratulate our brother, Scott Ross, on his retirement from the LA County Fire Department. It's the best fire department in the world, I swear to you. You know that. Inglewood was all right, Lakeside was all right, the county's good. Right, Brennan? Brother Ross retires as an LA County fire captain. That also means something. He was the last rank in charge of rank and file men and women. The last spot where you show up in the morning and where the rubber meets the road, you're in charge of the working class folks. That means something. In addition to being our peer support lead national. He's got over 32 years of service as a piker. I'm coming up on 36 years. I didn't even know that. We're going to auction off the gray pelt when he retires. Look at the hair he's got. It's nationally renowned. I had to say something, Scott. When you go to New York, the first thing they talk about is, oh yeah, the guy with the amazing, beautiful gray pelt. And the rumor is that when he dies, the New York firefighters said they're going to find him, scalp him, and they're going to auction him. This is a true story on the heels of 9/11. This is how nasty we are. Buckle up, folks. This is when the train comes off the tracks. Sarah and Brennan Ross, you are the inspiration and the influence in your father's life. 100%. Sarah, she's a badass in her own right. 100%. Early on, I turned to Scott and I said, don't worry about that one, concentrate on this one. Sarah knuckled me and said, you got that right. She's a 9/11 dispatcher, a 911 dispatcher. Everything that happened these last couple of weeks and in Woolsey, can you imagine being on the other end of the phone? And you relayed a couple stories tonight that we've taken up to Kelly Ciardo, up in the Senate, and to other senators and assembly members to try to convey how important our dispatchers are. And imagine being on the phone with somebody and saying, I'll work on you, but I don't have any fire resources to send to your house right now, as the neighborhoods are burning. Try to put 3 or 4 of those calls up here in the queue, and then continue on with your work. She is one hell of a badass daughter, and you don't have to worry about her, it's still Brennan is following in his father's steps proudly, and I can relate to that because my son is on the job now, working one station away from me. And Scott and I lived through both of our sons' hirings, and we worked hard to make sure that we took care of these 2 kids, and now they're just man cubs. Don't screw it up. Scott, you help begin your next journey, my friend. You've earned this well-deserved retirement, brought to you by years of 1014's work, and brokered through your new best friend, Auntie LaSarah. She's the best relative you could ever have. And we wish you the best, my friend. I want to say a few words about Scott. Our job is amazing. Best job I ever had. We coined that from Fury, the movie, probably because Scott looks like Brad Pitt a little bit. And it summarizes how amazingly exciting, wild, fun, and bold, and fantastic our job can be. Everybody in here who's a firefighter knows that. It's an amazing job. It's in your blood. We have one of the most sought after professions in the business because of the adrenaline pumping, action-packed ways of life, literally dealing with fires, floods, earthquakes, disasters. Listen to this job description. Acts of terrorism, shootings, stabbings, heart attacks, and more. Get in there, kid. Ninth inning, 2 outs. Freddie Freeman that shit. Hit it out of the park. Grand slam walk-off and take care of business. We also have toe pain, belly aches, bugs stuck in my ear. My kid is screaming and I don't know what to do about it. You've taken that call. I'm cold. I'm hungry. My back aches. No shit. Me too. 2:30 in the morning. We deal with it all. We deal with it all. We solve problems and we fix life when things go wrong for people. We hold people's souls in our hands when lives are taken. 5-6 times a week, times 52 weeks, times 32 years. It's a lot of dead bodies. It's a lot of souls in your hand. And it weighs heavy. We invest a lot in what we do. We carry heavy weights both physically and mentally in all that we do. And we thrive on that adrenaline. In that filled room with chaos, it's where we live. And we revel in the victories when we prevail. And we fraternally love on each other when we fail. When things go wrong. This job comes with impact. Things you can't undo, things you can't unsee. Small children that died, sometimes in your hands. Burn victims. People crushed in cars, trains, planes. People shot and stabbed beyond recognition. CPR while family members sit in the hallway and watch. Last rites. Prayers over those who passed. We handle it all. Think about that. And we do it every shift. And we smile, and we joke, and we play pickleball. And I kicked this kid's ass in pickleball. Try again, kid. He looked at me when I had bloody knees, and he's like, what in the world? And I'm like, full contact pickleball. We had a deal at my station. If you could get a pelt on the other guy and make a mark, he had to buy you dinner. That's the kind of pickleball we play. It was fun having you there, man. This job can be latently harsh on all those who serve. This is a job that gives us so much and can also take so much from us. Sometimes a little bit, sometimes all at once. Post-traumatic stress and cumulative stress from all we do is very real. And as my friend Alex said, or maybe it was Dr. Steve, or I don't know who it was, but somebody said nobody gets out of here without a couple of nicks, a couple of grinds, a couple of scratches. That is true for every firefighter, every dispatcher, every lifeguard, every cop, every soldier. And it can be unbending, painful, and dangerous. Every bit as dangerous as fires we fight, like this week. Every bit as dangerous. And the impact became so measurable at one point, with depression, anxiety, drug and alcohol addiction, and where's the lady from care? She's still here. The backstory on that is I've been on a fire before, and Scott called me and he says, they're evacuating, can you come down here? We have to maintain confidentiality. We have 2 of our members in our facility. Can you imagine that? The engine companies went up there to evacuate, and they're like, Brendan, what are you doing here? It wasn't Brendan, but the job that gives so much to us can take from us. Divorce, all of these things, and eventually it was suicide. And for 2 years, suicide took more firefighters than all the other causes of death combined. How about that? And the same thing was happening for cops and for soldiers. That's when finally we stood up and said, no more. Scott Ross was among the first few who boldly stepped up and spoke up and identified the issues and helped craft a path to deal with it and protect our members and their families in the process. Much like physical injuries, mental trauma injuries needed to be identified and dealt with, and the birth of peer support happened. In fire, law enforcement, for our lifeguards, the military, and all public servants, all were suffering from the impact of what we do. We just didn't know it. Brother Scott Ross, along with names like Marty Martinez, and a chief by the name of Mel Hokinson in the day, I go way back. With Ann Kellogg in tow, our cuckoo bird culturally competent clinician when we didn't even know what that meant, and a handful of brave firefighters, peer supporters, who stepped up and stepped in and started critical incident stress management, CISM. With every basic employee assistance program, and Phyllis Cohen, and some of the people that helped us in tow, we were off and running. And it was not popular. I was on the Cerrito Aeromexico class as a young punk in Orange County. And I think it was LA County's peer support team came in. And they encouraged us to find our feelings and cry, etc. And I watched these hardened firemen lace her up and walk out of the room and say, "What's for dinner?" That's how hard we are. It took a lot to break that. Scott Ross was a big part of how we broke down stigma and reached out and found our people. And thank God, we lost a lot more, Scott. Fast forward to today. We have the most robust and amazing peer support program in the nation, bar none, LA County Fire. Helping our members. And the lifeguards are part of that. Josh Farron, Lauren Dale, the two original leads. Well, Lauren mentored Josh and brought him in. But we brought our little brothers and sisters and our lifeguards over. Yes, you did. Peer support is simply this. One brother or one sister helping another brother or sister. It is that simple. We speak firefighter, we speak lifeguard, we speak cop or sheriff, and we trust each other implicitly when nobody's looking. And so was born a trained firefighter with skills on recognizing critical behavioral health issues and providing outreach and a bridge to resources to help save our firefighters. And now lifeguards and firefighters and our whole fire family, including civilians and retirees. We have a network of peers built by Scott Ross and all of the folks around us. And Vince and Scott, the new leads, they've got it. Your job's done here now. They'll check in with you, but you trained two amazing guys. And they're going to take it over and run it with legacy in mind and do a great job. I want to also thank Scott. You're one of the few people like me. I'm on my fourth fire chief. We wear him out. Chief Freeman, Chief Osby, England, Chief Moroni. All of them have been amazingly supportive of what we do. Scott would come to me and tell me what we need, and I would tell him, I'll make it happen. And he made it happen every time. It wasn't always pretty, but we got it done. Scott allied with people like Alex Hamilton. You heard him here speak here tonight. An amazing man. His words, I'm going to carry with me forever. Scott Ross has made a difference in every firefighter's life throughout this country. All firefighters in this nation are better because of you. That is heavy. And that is absolutely 100% real. That really hit me on my table tonight, my friend. And Carrie Romella from Arizona, she's not here. When we had Granite Mountain, and Joe's here tonight in Prescott. Carrie Romella from Arizona and Firestorm, an amazing part of our network. When we had the Sierra incident, Scott picked up the phone, she flew out here and she helped us take care of our people. That's how it works. Kristen Thompson from Newport Beach and others, and our very own fire whisperer, Dr. Steve Froelich. This man, Scott's true partner, probably spent more time with each other than they spent at home. National treasures, 100%. You've set the standard for culturally competent clinicians, and just for firefighters, I just call them fire shrinks. They're horse whisperers, they're fire whisperers. Dr. Steve and all of the other clinicians, I call you Triple C certified, culturally competent clinicians. Dr. Steve and his crew through the years, Phyllis Cohen, Carl King, Ann Kellogg, and now the new fire shrink Brat Pack, our own Nikki Stepani, and her +1 Yuri from Ontario, drags that chief around like it's a new day in a cheap suit. He just comes over and stands with me and says, I'll give my wife a drink when she needs it. Thank you for finding her, and thank you for being there to work on being the new Dr. Steve. We have to have transition. And this is important for our firefighters. Thank you both. And Lindy Venosta also from LA City, and we'll look past that, the little brothers to the west, but they need more help than this. But we've got a well-tooled and equipped group of clinicians, thanks to Scott Ross and Steve Froelich. Our people are going to be safe going forward. We can rest well knowing that our children will have help. Thank you for that. Scott Ross was part of our vision to build not only our system, but the vision of the firefighters in the US and Canada. Scott is a master instructor, one of only 40 people, I know we're growing it a little bit, in all of the US, and I told the IFF, make him a master instructor. He has traveled all over the US and Canada, teaching others what we do here. That influence is heavy. Saving members' lives one at a time. Now we've moved on to preventative care. We're not just reactionary, and resiliency and helping to train the new kids to resist and to take care of themselves. It was born as a result of Scott Ross coming up with that curriculum with Dr. Steve Froelich. They teach it in the towers now. They teach it throughout your career. And now we're taking the next step to move it into retirement for retirees that have problems when they leave this job. Amazing, Scott. I'm sorry for taking so long, but these words need to be said. This is 25 years in this nation in Canada, building a system that saves firefighters' lives. It's because of this dude right here. While we have a long way to go, Scott, we've certainly come a long way. And we must be open to change in response to new challenges and data as we collect it. Behavioral health is now integrated operationally into all large-scale incidents, as you've heard tonight. It's in IROC for ordering to fire scope. While Kelly Seardo may vote on all the legislation, I write the damn laws. And I do it after I talk to Scott Ross and all my other friends. Then we go into his office and other offices, and we've passed 3 different peer support laws that are amazing. Funding, confidentiality, and post-traumatic stress presumption. Those are huge things like cancer prevention. Thank you, Scott Ross, for coming up to Sacramento and helping me put it together. And one of the best things that you and the dog father, Jake Wendell, did, and I just went and told Osby, I go, I need 2 dogs. And he goes, I'm going to have to give this to you, aren't I? I go, yes, you are. And he goes, okay. And we have peer support dogs now. Our peer support canines are probably better than our human peer supporters. But they need handlers. And with Milo and all of the other peer support dogs we have now, that wouldn't happen without you. Once we started the program, it caught on, And now you can't go to a fire station, a fire department, or a peer support team or program without seeing a dog. And that has been an absolute blessing on behalf of our firefighters. And most of the chiefs would have said no. But now when Scott Ross put his back into it, made it easy for me. Scott Ross became my go-to peer when brothers and sisters called for help nationally. When chaos and tragedy struck anywhere in our nation, they would call me through the IFF, and I would ask Scott Ross to go help. We helped, and Scott took his leads, and we went national. And you should know a little bit about this. 9/11, Katrina, Rita, Atlantic Olympic bombing, the use of our response in Haiti, Mexico, New Zealand, Christchurch, El Paso mass shooting. And when he said keep Jelani in tow, the ending to that was we did amazing work there, but I was about 2 seconds away from removing a heart or a brain out of a body when Alex just said, I think we need to stop now. We were getting involved with the coroner's office and they let me do everything. And Alex stopped me before my hands went in. Stop. And that's why he's the chief and I'm the fire captain, because he's smarter than me. The Route 91 mass shooting. Listen to these things. Worldwide. Scott Ross. Borderline mass shooting, some of our own family members. Monterey Park mass shooting. San Bernardino mass shooting. Surfside collapse. Chip, Lauren, Scott, and the team, where firefighters' families were caught in the collapse. Scott went back there and lined it out. The firestorms in Malibu, Redding, Paradise, heavy. NorCal, and let me tell you something. My good friends in Lahaina, strong, proud brothers, they don't let many people come in at all. And I said, I got a couple of people. I got Dr. Steve Frog, I got this guy, Alex Hamilton. I go, by the way, only in America can you come from Melbourne, find a hot USA chick, travel here with a California, or with an American president's name and an Australian accent, and become fire chief in Oxnard. How the hell does that happen? Only in America. So Alex, Scott, and Steve, with my friend Bobby Lee from Hawaii, they tiptoed into Lahaina. Tiptoed. And they eventually got the confidence of the brothers from Maui, who didn't even give confidence to the Oahu firefighters until they came in. And they helped put Lahaina firefighters in the community of Lahaina back on the map, and back with a sense of normalcy. That was an amazing piece of work. And that came because Scott Ross has the talent he has. I'm almost done. These things are so important. These things are so critically important, you guys. The station fire. That was an amazing and heavy moment. And without you, my friend, we wouldn't have got through it as a family. The Sierra incident was very similar. And now most recently on the Pacific Palisades fire, the Altadena fire, and the Lake Hughes fire, which I just came back from, Scott and his peer support team were on the ground running while we were fighting fire to make sure all of our firefighters and even the residents in those communities were taken care of. What a remarkable, remarkable career. What a remarkable finish this year in LA County, Scott. Over 32 years of dedicated service, my friend, to those who we serve, but also to those who serve, to our own members and families, to the over 3,400 LA County firefighters and fire family, to the over 30,000 firefighters in the state of California, to the 340,000 firefighters that I stand up here to speak for tonight, from the IFF and the CPF. Thank you. You are an innovator, a dreamer, a humble protector of the protectors, of those who serve so valiantly. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all you have done and all you will continue to do for us, my friend. Now go and take care of you. It's time that you take care of you. I'm going to call you occasionally, and I'm going to ask you those famous words that always came from you to me. Hey, Dave. Just called to find out, how are you doing? Anybody else in here get that call? How are you doing? It's a little Ohio twang. And I can't tell you what I said because it's a family room tonight, but I would finish with a couple of choice words and hang the phone up. Call him back though, and I'd say, just like with Dr. Steele, I really appreciate the call. Brother Scott, last page, my friend. Congratulations on your well-deserved and hard-fought for retirement and a career and a job. Absolutely well done. Now go hang out with Sarah and Brennan. And remember, retirement is not the end of the road, my friend. It's simply the beginning of the open highway. So get yourself some plane tickets, get your ass in your truck, get on a train, get on the road. The next chapters of your story, of your family's story, are yours to write. Start writing. The best is yet to come, and your journey has just begun. How about that right now? First one. Good luck to you. You'll always be a part of us. And we will always have a cup of coffee and a smoke waiting for you at the station or the Union Hall, where you have spent so many nights with me and all of our friends here doing what we do. Much love to you, my friend. You are pure as fuck. And cuckoo is now the new cool because of you. Congratulations.
With that being said, I'd like to invite my colleague, Steve Blackburn, to come up. We have a special presentation for Scott, and I'd love for all the peer leads to come up with him as well. If you guys could all just come up here and stand, because we have a special presentation that's coming from all of us to Scott. And I'm gonna let Steve say a few words.
Kara, just so you know, Vince told me on the way here, oh yeah, you're gonna have a small speaking part. And then he told me I'd be speaking after Brennan. So I've been sitting over there this whole time thinking, oh, Vince forgot about me. And thanks everybody. This is such an impressive site. And Scott, can't tell you thanks enough. The one word that just comes to my mind right now is gratitude. When Vince and I were out at Eaton, we were set up for success because of all the work that you've done. We have a little plaque here, and on the plaque, when Vince and I were discussing your career, it started in 1992, the riots. We didn't calculate like Lucero, we calculated like LA County and the impact that you've had on us. So we put your retirement date as 2025 because your last call was Palisades and Eaton with us. First call out of the gate, I'm sure Alex Hamilton called you up. Vince and I, when we were heading over there, I had you on speed dial, preparing us for the largest incident in Los Angeles County Fire's history. And you were the man that we needed to prepare us for that, so thank you. If you look at all the peers that you have helped mentor, I'm so proud to be a part of this team. The OGs that have been here for many years. And I made the mistake of saying how many years on that deployment with Lauren and got the death stare. But thank you for creating arguably the best peer team in the nation and for all that you've done for us. Brennan, Vince, and I feel the weight that only you can feel having to fill his shoes. It is a monumental task that it takes two of us to even come close to the task that we have ahead of us. And so we've asked Gigi for a third to hopefully be able to lighten that load, and that'll be coming soon because of the need and everything you've brought to this team. We don't want to let you down in the least. The quality that you've demanded. I have seen firsthand Scott go to bat for this Pierceport team. I am grateful for chiefs in our department that know that his heart is in the right place even when his mouth isn't. So, he has had screaming matches with Dave Gelati, many of our chiefs who have made the mistake of saying no to him. And so he finds a loophole to get done what needs to get done. I'm glad for that mentorship that's shown me how sometimes you gotta skirt the rules, earmuffs, chiefs. Go around, bend as much as you can without breaking them, and get stuff done for our team, our members. So thank you very much, Scott. I'm gonna bring you up here right now. We calculated 33 years of service. In proud recognition, decades of dedicated service to the residents of Los Angeles County and serving fire departments across the nation as a peer supporter and a friend. Thank you.
Yeah, we had a captain's badge that says peer support underneath with the number 1. And I see you over there, Chief. You can actually take that off and wear it, my friend.
Yes.
And when we went up to Palisades, I remember when we were driving up and you were like, man, I don't have my uniform anymore, you know? And we want to make sure that when you come with your fire family, for all the events that you come, that you know that you're always going to be a part of it, and that you could always put that on your Class A if you ever wanted to, and represent this family that you've created and fostered, and we're also thankful for that. So congratulations, Scott, from your peer support team. So now everyone, we're going to hear from the man himself. And I can never give him an introduction that can be better than the introduction that was given by all the speakers and all of you who have already spoken.
Before we get into anything else, I cannot express my gratitude for each and every one of you that are here. You had an impact on my life, and my heart is so full of gratitude for you to be here. 2025 did not start off well, and timing may be everything, that we all got a little bit to stop, pause, and just be together. So thank you all for being here. You have no idea what it means to see people here. I do need to mention a couple people. My good friend Danny Parker, I'm traveling from Arizona, beautiful wife Michelle. Another instructor with the IFF, little brother, came in after a trip to Florida, turned around and came right back out here. My good friend Derek Reed. So impressed with that guy because, well, he was in one of my classes and started off in peer support and then took it out to another level. And I'm just really honored to be his friend. As a matter of fact, when Dave spoke to it, when we had our Sierra incident, actually was out of town. It was called, not even by fire department, the IFF sent me up to Vallejo to assist with the transit authority shooting. And while I was there, I got to see one of our most horrific tragedies within our department unfold on TV. I cannot tell you how tough that was. And there's my man Reggie. Reggie handled the stuff, and I'll never forget when I got back, he said, "This is all yours." There you go. I was like, yeah. But it's just, you know, an amazing group of people that were up here. And we'll get more into that in a moment. And all of you that traveled from far away. My sister, thank you, coming down from Santa Rosa. You know, the clinicians that I work with, Tina, God bless you, coming down from San Diego, Paul Russell, I mean, just traveling from out of state. You guys, I can't say it enough. I could sit up here for hours and tell you how much I appreciate you, and it won't be enough. Got a lot of thank yous to get through here before I get into my career. And we talked a lot about that, so I'm not gonna, there's a couple pages that Dave covered so eloquently that I don't need to go any further. But first of all, I want to say that my dad was so proud of me. In my career, that I know he's with us. My dear mom was a saint. I will tell you why she was a saint. Because when she and my dad provided for my sister and I growing up, was nothing short of an amazing childhood. We were very blessed, just super lucky. All of our family, extended family, lovings, well, that's gone, so I can, you know, I don't say anything about that. Just that whole thing of growing up was pretty amazing. But when I talk about my mom being a saint, anyone that knew me when I was a teenager would seriously have questions how I became a firefighter. There is no doubt. I was in trouble a lot as a young kid. I must have passed that off to my kids because I've heard some stories when I was away of the things they were doing. So, yeah, that happens too. But that being said, all my family, my cousins, my aunts, they're here. You enrich my life so much. Special thank you, and I know Cousin Steven's here, but he made that video, and I really appreciate it. My Narek Street family, you know, I had the fortune to live in the house where I raised my kids, and I had an amazing group of people that I've known for so long that are here tonight, what we call our Narek Street family, and it is exactly that. Our kids have all grown up. You know, I watched them all grow up and become amazing young adults. Now, talk about two people that I'm going to focus on here for a moment. And I have so much thanks to give to them. And I'll first start with my son, Brennan. Man, yeah, whoever said that workout comment, where did that come from? Yeah, he's, I watched him grow up to be an amazing young man, worked very hard to get where he's at. Our paths kind of paralleled, right? I mean, we both were McCormick, and then Inglewood, South Bay Fire Academy, and, you know, hopefully all end up and working together for our service. He's a very large individual in stature, but his heart, even though he will not show that out publicly, I know what's inside, and he has a heart bigger than he is. Watch him grow up from a little boy, and to be able to have him come to the firehouse, I remember, and I know, I folks in England will remember, I know Chief Mason always said something to me one time, he goes, you know that kid, now mind you, he was like 6 years old or something, he goes, he knows a lot more about the ladders and stuff than some of my firemen on the job. He was great, he it was in his blood to be here. He's grown up, and I'm so proud of him. There's something really special. I know Dave had this opportunity. I was in a 40-hour position, so working on the fire engines was like, had to do it on overtime. But I can say that the very last day that I ever rode on a fire engine was with my son. And there's something to be said about that. You know, I could have worked overtime, and I chose not to because it meant that much to me to be able to say that the last day I ever rode on a fire engine was with my son. So, look forward to seeing you grow in your career, son. I thank you for the support that you've given me. Us living in the house and me going as much as I was, you guys kind of had to grow up on your own a lot too, and I'm very proud of you for where you've become. So, as Dave said, my badass daughter. Those that have ever seen the show Yellowstone know who Beth is. If you're and it's funny too because you just have to share this one little thing because I think Brennan knew, and Brennan, you know, sibling rivalry, right? There's one little thing he did not do, and Sarah was growing up. He didn't wake her up to a nap, right? But Brennan, of course, would, and I told him, I go, dude, you are gonna get your eyes scratched out. You did not wake her up, or she would come at you like a banshee. And he finally, you know, he's young and dumb, didn't know, and he kept poking the bear, right? That was my daughter at a young age. But I will tell you, my dear Sarah, let me just say thank you for putting this together. Running on fumes, I mean, for God's sakes, she's 911 dispatcher and worked 114 hours this week. She worked 10 p.m. last night till 10 a.m. so she wouldn't be mandated and recalled, and she could be here today. And I can't express how much I appreciate you. I know you're running on fumes, but everything you've done, much gratitude. And I watched you from little girl, full of piss and vinegar and just badass. I mean, for God's sakes, by the time 16, 4 broken arms, right? 2 knee surgeries and a broken back. Now, I know I was asked a lot, my social services got involved. They said, no, just Sarah. You know, so you just kind of, you know, went for it, right? So she just thrived on all that stuff. So motorcycle riding desert and just always, you know, full tilt. So, but she's an incredible young lady whose heart, like Brennan, is much bigger than her body, and she does everything for everybody all the time. And you're amazing. I'm just blessed to have you as amazing daughter as you are. So look forward to watching you grow in your career too, and take names and figure it out. So, all right. Let me just kind of touch on a couple things. Inglewood Fire. Got hired when I was 27 years old and got hired into Inglewood Fire Department, and met an amazing bunch of people in a small 4-station department that you didn't have any place to rest. We just got our butts kicked all day and all night long. I learned a lot. I grew up a lot. I was a paramedic there for 8 years, and I tell them never slept. And we did talk about the Senate slate, which was pretty amazing that we were able to do that. And again, much as I love Chief Mays, he also made that mistake of saying that I would never get it done, and that was his mistake. I don't know, I just have never been real good at no. When someone says no, you kind of get a little upset, because it's like, God damn, why did you say that? Now I have to do it, right? So,
You just had a flashback.
We did that for 25 years, you guys, and I will tell you that my dear friend Lloyd, England Police Detective, jumped on board with us with that, and we rode that out for 25 years, my friend. Our families dedicating our entire Decembers to take care of those kids in Inglewood. Not a small thing. We actually watched a generation turn. We thought kids that were little kids come out and would tell us how excited they were to be able to bring their little kids out. I thought, oh my goodness sake, we turned a generation. I think we're done. It's time to go. Anyway, and on that, Mackenzie and all of Lloyd's kids that we were able to, we all grew up in there. And then I had the honor of officiating my dear Mackenzie Caleb's wedding, and that was pretty cool. Kids don't get, upset about this, but I got a really cool cup. Sinister Minister from now to the wedding. It was very cool. I don't know what that really means, I do, but get into that. So, anyway, I promoted into, it's funny, we worked in a small 4-station department, and then you jump over into the big pond, and I got moved over there and I promoted to captain, and 180 stations or whatever. Where did I land when they promoted? They put me right back in Inglewood, and I was like, oh, is this okay? So, and I didn't know, not a soul in that station. I had never met him. We talked about the Scott station. Everyone in the station was named Scott. I was like, someone set me up here, right? The engineer, God heaven, my paramedic, Scott Pache. It just went, it was on and on and on. And even after all these years in the fire service, and we've all been out of 173 for what, 12 years? I think the last of ours, the non-Scott was the last to leave, right? We still have 173 Christmas parties every year. I mean, that's the bond that happens, and it's pretty amazing. So grateful to you guys and the family we built out of 173. Up here, you saw the leads, and I gotta tell you something, there's something very special in my heart, because all that stuff that's been talked about and what I do doesn't come without those folks that were standing up here. They're an amazing, amazing group of people. I relied heavily on them to walk the walk through the LA County Fire Peer Support building of what we did. Their exercise. But with 3,400 sworn members out, knuckleheads running around, there's problems all the time, okay? And we just have the opportunities to serve a lot of people, and they're the best of the best. It's amazing. Vince and Steve, I gotta tell you, I probably could have gone a few years ago and retired, but I have a little issue, maybe with control. But it meant that much to me. That everything that was built, and it was not easy, you guys. It came from a time when things weren't, you didn't talk about that stuff, hug squad, all those things. And to turn it over, I couldn't be more pleased with the work that you guys are doing. I'm a complete confident and trust and feel comfortable walking away knowing that LA County Fire Department is in your hands, as well as the LA County period. The entire department is in great hands. And I'm so proud of that, to have been a part of that. Dr. Steve, man, what a ride, buddy. I mean, it's an amazing thing, because you guys have to understand that trust that goes on with a clinician. I mean, you just can't walk in. I mean, firefighters, look, we're just corporate people, right? We're really like, come on in, yeah, and we'll talk to you, But as soon as you walk out, they're like, ooh, brutal. Okay? That's where that trust happens, right? That Dr. Steve and I had built. And it's the magic, it's how it happens. That someone, that brother in the fire service, brother or sister, the trust, they hand it over and tell that other firefighter that might be in the hurt box that this guy's okay. That's how that work gets done. And I'm certainly glad that we are already grooming that, because Dr. Steve, there comes a time. I'm getting out before you, buddy, and that's kind of something, and we hand the torch, and none better than our friend Nikki here, to take that over. So please, Dave knows, and the rest of the team, we bonded with them to know that there's a big undertaking to be had by the Carry Club. So, fare thee well, friend, you will do well. I'm going to wrap this up, you guys, by just saying that I have been fortunate, I am blessed, my heart is full. I've had an amazing career. I have met amazing people. There's chiefs in this room, and only a few, and that's okay with me. Because the chiefs that are in this room are people I really, really like. Chief Mike Cameron. And I know he gets mad when I say this, but my boss. And I don't say that lightly. I've been in this fire service for 32 years, and there's a lot of people that I work for. Some good ones and some bad ones. But I was very fortunate to have my friend, colleague, boss, Gigi, overseeing our wellness division. Most of that stuff couldn't happen without you, and I appreciate you. All of the rest of you that are here, my friends, family, my dear friend John Skirwada, there isn't anybody that, has been in the trenches with me. There was, we were kind of targeted out there, right? Don Skirwada or Scott Ross were walking there, no, not those guys. We were thorns in the department side when it was early on. So, the fact you're down here, John, means that much to me, because you know what we've been through, getting to where we've got, and I love you, brother. That said, again, thank you all for being here. Nick, Long Beach, Tiffany Collier. I could go on and on, you guys. Again, like I said, I can't emphasize enough, my heart is full. I walk away from this job, and I know Rob says, hey, it's like I feel like I've accomplished, like you did it. We got to the other side, right? And I have that new employer, the Sarah, that's gonna be amazing. So I do. I'm so confident that I get to walk away from here with my heart full, all the people that I have met along the way, and next chapter. Oh, by the way, I suck at retirement. I'm gonna own that. I've been retired since November 30th. December happened, and I always kind of blame that on the job not being ready for Christmas. Guess what? I wasn't working, and I wasn't ready for Christmas, so it wasn't the job. Me, right? January, all that stuff happened. Well, just yesterday, so my daughter came in the mail, my business license. Ross Peer Consulting was born yesterday. License, binder was in the book, and I have appointments next week, so I'm sorry, I failed. But that's okay. So, thank you all for being here. Much appreciate, love each and every one of you. Thank you.